Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm really excited and happy to have Steve Smotrys, the Managing Director at SVP of Commercial for the Americas, Australia, and New Zealand for HX with us to chat a little bit about what's going on with HX and sort of the expedition segment in general. Steve, thank you so much for jumping on here and sharing some of your thoughts.
Well, thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. Always excited to talk about Expedition.
So I know Expedition is sort of blowing up now. It's definitely
Yeah.
one of the segments that's been trending pretty heavily in the trade, in the consumer space too. I know it's a crowded field, and I was hoping you could sort of tell us a little bit about of what makes HX Expedition stand out from sort of your competitors or your colleagues who are also sailing similar voyages.
Yeah, it is become a really crowded space for sure. But you know what? HX has a very unique story. And I think it's always good to like kind of preface it to tell everybody because a lot of people are like, who's HX? Actually, we are the oldest expedition company. We've been around 130 years, but people may associate us more with Hurtigruten. We are now two separate companies. Hurtigruten does coastal Norwegian product, and we do expedition all over the world. But we are the original expedition company, and with that comes a lot of experience. And when you're going to these really remote destinations, having that kind of experience really goes a long way. But I think there's several ways that we kind of differentiate ourselves in this marketplace. We have what we believe is the perfect balance for expedition, and that's really three elements that we think we do extremely well. One is adventure. Two is comfort, and three is sustainability. So starting with adventure, again, this experience of going to these places, whether it be Antarctica or the Arctic, Greenland, Svalbard, Galapagos, we leverage this experience in a really meaningful way in things like we've got amazing relationships with the small communities. So we're able to a lot of times get the very best itineraries, really able to curate some of the very best experiences to bring to our guests and just really make the most when you're going to these destinations to be really able to explore and immerse yourself in a really powerful way. And the next part of that is comfort. And, I think when you're going to these places, yeah, you may want to go full on adventure. You may want to just do really more of a passive experience. It depends. You can do there's activity levels for every type of person out there. And we've built these ships, a fleet of 5, to be the perfect ships really for expedition. So we actually have the very first 2 hybrid powered ships. Now they're a little bit larger in the expedition space. They're about 490 guests, but we only fill them about 80%. That's kind of like our business model. And what these ships do is they allow a lot of flexibility. They never compromise the experience. We can go anywhere that any other expedition ship can go and explore those places. But we have more variety on board. We've got a great spa and wellness program. We've got beautiful accommodations. We've got up to 3 restaurants on board, again, on those hybrid ships. And those ships, again, they are hybrid. When we go into small little spaces in, let's say, Antarctica or Greenland, little fjords, we're able to turn off the engines and just go electric. And not only does that create I think, a much more wonderful experience, but it also is less disruptive to the environment there. But we really believe people can travel to these places and still be in luxury and have a very comfortable experience. And then last but not least, sustainability. So every decision we make is sustainability is first. We have the highest ESG rating in sustainability in the whole cruise space, not just expedition. And HX and Hurtigruten, I should say, have always been at the forefront of really pushing the envelope on sustainability. We were the first company to eliminate heavy fuels, the first to eliminate single-use plastics, and we're always pushing the envelope on that front. With the hybrid ships, we are the number one company when it comes to CO2 per guest, the smallest number on that front. And that's really important. But obviously, sustainability goes far beyond that. And we're always doing things like community projects, looking to eliminate plastics from the oceans. We've got what's called the HX foundation that's always looking to projects to better the planet and leave these destinations better than how we found them. So sustainability is always on the forefront. We always want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect these really sensitive and delicate places on the planet. So, and this balance, this perfect balance, it's something that I think some expedition companies can do one or two of those things really well, but I don't think anybody can do all three quite the way that we can do it.
Yeah. So a luxury product with all that sort of mixed into it. I know when you're selling to these kind of destinations, being guardians of those destinations, I know is important to you and your team too. So it's nice to hear you say
100%.
that.
Yeah, it can be tough to
Well,
balancing that luxury and that, and that sustainability. But these ships, again, designed the right way, but we're still bringing an all-inclusive experience to the guests. So it is a nice balance.
I want to ask you about the trade too, because I know that's a big part of the goal with HX. I'm curious how you work with the travel advisor community, particularly to educate and support them when they're having a conversation with their clients and introducing them to this kind of cruising.
Yeah, the trade is, we source a vast majority of our business from the trade, and we really need to partner. And we're building up this HX brand. People are still trying to wrap their heads around it. And telling that story and telling our proposition, we need our trade partners to really partner with us on that. So we're really working really hard to develop new tools for them. We've done a lot from an educational perspective, and we're always looking for educational opportunities to tell the story and help them tell the story to their clients as well. So creating assets, we're built out to our travel advisor portal. Well, there's a lot of tools there, but it's an evolution right now. We are doing everything we can to really help our travel advisor partners out there, because we want them to be part of this journey with us. It's really important. And it's the more that we can give them tools and help them, like we've built out our sales team quite a bit as well. So we've got 8 BDMs around the country. We've got a couple sales directors as well, and they will get on the phone with you and your client as well. Like we've had our head of expedition get on calls. We're going really grassroots like that and trying to help and partner in a really meaningful way.
Yeah, and Steve, I know you've been in cruising for a good part of your career, so I'm sure you sort of see the industry from a larger point of view. But I'm curious, with expedition cruising growing in popularity, are you seeing any trends or anything really jumping out on you where that industry is headed? And then I'm curious what HX is doing to position itself to sort of meet whatever trends you are seeing.
Yeah, it's a great question, because and I've been with other as you mentioned, other cruise lines, other expedition companies, and it's becoming very apparent that travelers are really craving more of these like meaningful, very authentic and immersive experiences beyond cruise. It's interesting. You kind of have these two different audiences. You've got the people they've done a lot of cruises and they're looking kind of for that next thing to elevate a cruise. We don't really see ourselves as a cruise, but it's a great evolution from the cruiser to something that is again much more immersive and authentic and really getting you in touch with nature. But you also have there's that audience out there that are a lot of the non-cruisers, and they may be doing vacations like safari or very experiential trips. And this is actually more like that. It's creating this base camp for you to go to Antarctica or Greenland or Iceland. And to be able to come back and have those comforts and those creature comforts, but the ship being really kind of set up to really deliver these really immersive experiences. It's interesting. You have these very different audiences out there, but I think at the end of the day, people are looking for those opportunities to, not only connect with nature, explore, connect with different cultures and communities out there. That's really kind of the trend that you're seeing. Even the major cruise lines, I think they're trying to do that as much as possible as well, and their itineraries. But to explore these really remote places, you need a ship that's designed for that. And our ships, again, are designed specifically with a lot of experience in the space. We said we got to design a ship that meets the guest's need, but also can navigate into these really delicate places and do it in a way that's very responsible at the same time.
Yeah, and I know I speak to a lot of travel advisors, and they're always curious about products in this space. And I think that's so interesting. That's the first time I heard someone describe it as a base camp for exploration. And I
Yeah,
think that is something travel advisors can sort of make that connection with when they're thinking about what clients are right for this or what purpose of these kind of voyages serve too.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's it's I think creating different ways that they can helps them talk about it.
yeah,
It's not look, it's not an easy experience to articulate sometimes, and again, that gets back to creating tools, creating ways to help them identify who the right person is out there. Another big part of kind of what we do is the educational aspect. We have the largest science centers at sea, so we have actual scientists on board in our labs doing research. We will donate voyages to them to come on board and do the research. And all we ask is that they let our guests interact with them in the lab. They can be part of those experiments, and they're doing lectures and things like that. So it's really for that curious mind, the person who's looking for the enrichment beyond just going and exploring these places.
yeah. Well, I know a lot of advisors are going to be checking out sort of what the ship looks like on board, and like you mentioned, the portal and the sales team. So we'll get all information in the description of the video. But
Excellent.
Steve, thank you so much for sort of jumping on here, chatting to me a little bit, and it was a really interesting conversation.
Thanks so much. It's such a pleasure, and these are such enriching experiences. And I love it when we can get advisors on board and we can get guests on board. Everybody creates or builds a greater appreciation for the planet and just the greater community globally when they can go and have these experiences.
All right. Well, really nice to talk to you, and I'm sure we'll chat sometime in the future too.
Sounds good. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everyone.